Hi, you guys. So I'm going to read Proverbs chapter 21. This is going to be verse 2. People may be right in their own eyes, but the Lord examines their heart. And the reason why I say that, because the video I posted talked about people being born into these cults, these covens, these organizations, and them feeling like they have no choice, because this is all they know. This is what they've been taught. Some of the gang stalking that I've witnessed and that I've been part of, and that, or I'm not part of the gang stalking, but I'm the one that they're following, or some of them involve their kids and they're teaching their children how to gang stalk at a very early age, which all bravo to you parents that are doing that. That's insane. But yeah, but they are. But it's because that's what these cults and organizations and covens do. So, like I said, a lot of people are born into it. And so to them they think it's right. It's because it's all that they know. But it clearly says right here, people may be right in their own eyes, but God will examine their heart. You can blame that you were born into it and that's why you do it, or you can do the right thing because in your heart you know what's right and you know what's wrong, and you know that you stalking and harassing and following and taunting and making a mockery of someone just to do it because of greed or whatever reason it is that you have, isn't the right thing. It's not, and God will examine your heart. I i told y'all, like, a lot of my the as I've only dated three men in my life, and well, not including in high school, but like, it was my high school sweetheart, which was my ex-husband, and then James, the one that I told y'all was talking to my daughter extremely inappropriate and why I left. um and then my honey trap that I call honey trap now. These are the only three and men that I've dated and that I've been with since all I can remember. I'm 36, and on January 15th I'll be 37, and those are the only three men that I have given permission to touch me, permission to, like, handle me, like, sexually. The reason why I say that is I've told you I've seen videos of me and I'm like, what the heck, and what is going on. But I've only been with these three men, and when I see these other things, it baffles me, and I'm just like, why is this happening and what is going on? But I want to say they know right from wrong. I don't care if you were born into this cult or you were born into this lifestyle. You know what's right and you know what's wrong, and um, you teaching your children to be that way also. um it's horrible. It's bad. It's a bad thing. Why would you be doing that? It just, it doesn't sit right with me. And you know I want you guys to know, like, they're not going to get away with it. And even if, us victims, even though they hate for us to call ourselves victims, well, then don't make us a victim. Because I'm a victim, and I'm a survivor, and I'm whatever I want to be. You know what I mean? But if you don't like the word victim, because a lot of them hate the word victims. No, they hate if you call yourself a victim. Oh, here she goes. She's being a crybaby. But I am a victim. Like, what else would I be? I mean, I'm a survivor too. Obviously, I'm still here standing up against y'all, and I will continue to, and I will survive this. And I know that by the almighty name and power and blood of our Savior Yeshua, that I will survive it because I am a survivor, but I'm also a victim. And if you don't like the word victim, don't make people a victim, because that also just irritates me when people get mad that someone's using the word victim, but then you made that person a victim. So don't be mad over that. Don't be offended over that word when you made them be a victim. But anyway, there goes my rant. But um they just know, like, you are a victim. If you're going through this, you are a victim, but you also can be a survivor, and you will be a survivor. Put all your faith into God and let God handle them. um you know God will examine their heart, and God will see that they knew right from wrong. They knew what they could do and what they couldn't do, you know. For instance, like me, and I've said it before, and I hate, but like, I know what kind of women are in my family, and maybe it was a curse put on them. I but they're very permic- promiscuous women that, you know, are very um attention seeking, you know, needing validation from the opposite sex, and like will sleep with, I would say, anyone, but you know, that's just from what I've seen and what I witnessed, and you know, growing up, that's what I know. There's no person off boundaries to them. I don't. My husband's, or my husband wasn't off boundaries. My dad's father wasn't off boundaries. Friends aren't off boundaries. Their best friends' husbands aren't off boundaries. Um, so I know that this is just who they are, but just because I seen that growing up, and I know majority of the women in my family are like that, didn't mean that I wanted to be that way. Didn't mean that because I seen it, I was like, okay, that's how I'm gonna be. Oh, and you can get any man you want if you're that way. Okay, no. Be the different one. Be the one that says no, that stops with me, and I'm not gonna be that type of person. And I'm not gonna raise my children to be that type of person. And I'm not, why not be the generational curse breaker? Why not ask God to break every contract knowingly and unknowingly, going back 7 to 10,000 years, be broken and stop with you? Because you have the ability to do that. If you place all your faith into God, and you don't want to be that person, you don't have to be. So why not try to be the best version of yourself that you can be? Why not try to be? It's not because, I know when I said I don't want to be that type of person, it wasn't because I was thinking like I want to be better and I'm gonna be better. No, it's because I didn't want to be that. I didn't want to do that. And I don't look down on them because they done that. You know, I'm not like, oh, you're just the type of person you are. I don't want to be involved with that. No, because I love them. I was raised with them. They're my family, you know, but I just knew that's not who I wanted to be. And I encourage anyone that is being born into lifestyles that, you know, isn't right. It's not okay. Fight it. Give it to God, and don't be that person. If you were born into a family of cults or covens, and you know they're not doing the right thing, you don't have to be part of it. You make your own destiny. You choose who you want to be. If you were born in a family where I said, you know, the women, you know, use their bodies to get what they want, you don't have to be that person. You don't have to be. If you were born in a family where there's gang related things going on, you can be the difference. You can be the one that walks away. You can be the one that starts a new foundation for every generation after you. So do it. You don't have to follow in the same, um, you know, footsteps as your parents and as their parents and their parents. You can be different. And yeah, you know, it's probably going to come with trouble. It's probably going to come with, like, my situation where I'm being gang stalked and harassed, and I'm the one that the family, I'm the black sheep, the outcast of the family. But you're also the one that gets to break every generational curse that has been bestowed onto you and your family. You'll also be the one, and it doesn't come easy. It's not easy. It's a hard journey, but it's something that someone has to do. And I know with me, I didn't want um what I seen growing up to be passed on to my children or their children or their children. I wanted to be the difference. I wanted to be the one that made money, you know, the right way. I wanted to be the one that um, taught my children and was, and, you know, I failed in that aspect. I wanted to be the one that, you know, had my children in church every Sunday and reading the Bible to them. And like, I wanted to be that. But I had so many obstacles, and that's an excuse too, but I did have so many obstacles thrown my way that some days just seem so heavy and so hard to continue to push through. But it never, ever, not one time did it ever distract me from my faith of God, like my faith that I have in God, my belief that I have in God. Yeah, I never found a church that I really truly felt welcomed in, and um that I for sure wanted to be part of every day and, have this community. I wanted it, but did I ever find one? No. But it didn't stop me and it didn't hinder my faith in God. It never um, tore me away from my belief and my faith in God. And I'm forever, forever humbly and grateful to God for loving me and cherishing me and guiding me and just being there to lift me up whenever I'm down, and me always knowing and feeling his presence. Anyone in my family knows, I've always said it, that I'm highly favored by God. And like I said, I've been saying that since I was a kid, and I don't even remember where it came from or why um it started, but it did. And I remember this is like this is whenever I was younger in church. My Our church was trying to like raise money. Um like the way churches do, they do like different fundraisers and stuff. But we done a Valentine fundraiser where the kid who raised the most money for the church would be crowned as Mr. and Mrs. or like, Mrs. and Mr. Valentine, and we would get a crown on our head and stuff. And my grandmother at the time really wanted me to win, like, oh, she's gonna win, I'm gonna make sure she wins. And we were making candy apples, and when I tell you, we were selling them nonstop every weekend, going door to door selling these candy apples to raise this money for the church. That's what we were doing. And I remember feeling like I'm not going to win. And even when I was a kid, I remember just feeling like adults didn't like me. The youth that were my age didn't like me. Like, I'm not going to win. And I remember telling my grandma that, and she looked back and she was like, you better stop that. And I said, well, no one likes me. I'm not. And she's like, it's not about they like you. It's about how much money we raise, and we're going to raise it, and you're going to be. And I'm like, okay. And I remember her telling me, like, don't you ever say that, because someone does love you, someone does like you, and I do. And my grandma has always been someone that I've always hold close to my heart. Unfortunately, she passed away when I was like 12, but she's always someone, like, when I think back on her, I look back on, is a woman that I would love to be like, and that I would want to be like. I remember when we were younger too, we would go to her house and she would always give us like cookies and milk. And that's something that I always say, like, I'm going to pass that on to my grandchildren. I want them to know every time they come to grandma's house, there's going to be cookies and milk. And that's something that my grandma gave me. That's a memory that I keep with me and I cherish all the time. But unfortunately for my life, it seems like all the people that um, loved me or would have been a great support system for me, unfortunately left early. My grandma left when I was 12. I'm 36. My dad left last year in January. And the only other person I felt like really loved me and done a lot with me was my Aunt Tabitha. She was the first woman to, like, teach me how to truly take care of myself. Like, you need to be washing your feet this way, and let's paint your toes. And like, she took me to go get my very first haircut that I ever got. She took me out of town for the first time ever, like. And my Aunt Tabitha passed away when, like, 10 or 11 years ago. So I was what, uh like 26, is when my Aunt Tabitha passed away. And those are the three people that I felt like truly genuinely cared about me, like, wanted what was best for me. And now that I look back, I'm like, well, because my Aunt Tabitha, when she passed away, um there was really no explanation for it. She went to hospital, she said she wasn't feeling well, and then she passed away in the hospital. And I remember around that time, me and my Aunt Tabitha were getting like extremely close with each other. We would talk all the time because I had moved out of town. But prior to that, remember I told y'all that when Kayla was like 3 months, her femur bone was broken, so CPS got involved. Well, I went and stayed with my grandmother and my Aunt Tabitha at that time, and me and my Aunt Tabitha had got extremely close then, and we kind of stayed, close and in contact with one another. I remember I was pregnant at the time when she passed away, and with Natalie, my youngest daughter. And I remember her calling me and telling me like, "Oh my God," because she was knitting at the time. "I made the cutest, booties for her, and you're gonna love them." And like, what, asking me what colors I wanted, and like, but my Aunt Tabitha was someone I was really close to too, and she passed away. But that's just what happens in my life. But um, anyway, the church thing, I ended up being, just so you know, I ended up making enough money, and I ended up winning Mrs. Valentine, and my grandma was so proud of me, and she was just so happy that I was able to, do this. And I think now, like when I look back, I remember her telling me, like, "You're my favorite," and maybe that's where I got it from, because I knew my grandma loved going to church, and she was, had, like, she's my dad's mom. So her faith in God was like really big, and she loved God. And like, I remember us, like, she was trying to teach me how to play the piano there for a little bit. And I remember her always singing like, gospel songs and stuff. Like, so my grandma's just someone I've hold really dear to me. And I think because she would always say, tell me like, "Oh, you're my favorite." And, just being my grandma, I think maybe that's where I got like, I'm highly favored by God, but I've always said it. And um, so far it's proven to be right. But I think everyone can be favored by God. I think everyone has different times in their seasons when they're favored by God. But I know if you seek God and you look for God, you most definitely will find him, and he will not leave you on empty ears. He will hear you. So if you're being gang stalked, I highly encourage you to leave your problems to God and ask God to come in and help you, and to hinder your enemies, and to stop every weapon that they're trying to form against your life and against your family's life. And he will definitely do it. With that being said, you guys have a good day.